Hello, hello. Welcome to What's Working Now. I'm your host, Katie Richardson. We have an amazing money mindset coach, entrepreneur, mother, attorney, barrister, like seriously, so many things. We're going to talk about how can you become a money magnet and make money your best friend. We have an exceptional person. Let me read her bio before I have her join us. This is Gull Khan. She is an international bestseller, international speaker, podcaster, a barrister. What is that? I had to Google it. It's a UK thing. She'll tell us about it. An attorney, a solicitor, an intuitive life coach, an EFT expert, energy healer, money mindset expert, and a mother. Please welcome to the show, Gull Khan. Gull, welcome to the show.
Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, super excited because, well, first of all, you're an expert on so many things, and money mindset specifically is something that I know so many people in my audience want to learn about because it's something that so many people struggle with. And before we jump into your expertise on that, I want people to get to know you a little bit. And so I want you to share with us the story of a moment or an experience that you feel has really shaped how you see the world and who you are today.
Oh my goodness. I think that's a whole question in itself. And I wish I could pinpoint a moment, but there hasn't been. I think my life as I've developed has become this unfolding of this journey that I've been on, and every aspect of my life, which can be, by the way, seen as tragedy and, oh my God, this happened to you too, or this happened to you too. It's all been a gift for me in my life. And as I was showing off the camera with you, one of my things is I'm severely dyslexic, a fact that I wasn't aware of until the first year of my law degree. Now, other people can see that as a disability, as a disadvantage. I see the fact that I didn't know about it until my first year of law degree, until I was in Queen Mary University of London. I see that as one of the biggest benefits because it stopped me getting a label on myself. It stopped me from not working. So yes, I had to work extra hard compared to everybody else because I'm not just dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic. So I still have difficulty working out what's left and right. Numbers jump around for me, letters jump around for me. So now there's various forms of dyslexia. I'll probably tick all the boxes because I'm one of those people. Wow. I don't know what I'll be classified as, but it didn't really matter because I had learned the work ethic of working hard to get into where you got. It doesn't matter what the task is. If you believe in yourself, you can get there. I think this is one of the things which was instilled into me quite early on by my mother. My mother never saw me as struggling with schooling, even though think about it, she would have known because I wasn't able to read a full sentence of a book until I was about 11, 12 years old. And that's astonishing. But my mother didn't pay attention to it. You can do it. You can do it. And that you can do it attitude was instilled into me. So I became one of the top performing students by the time I left college. But that's because even though I was most underperforming before, because of that you can do it attitude. So I think that's one thing that started out in my life. You can do it. And therefore I see dyslexia, which gave me my work ethic, as my biggest gifts from God. So everything that's happened to me, I've seen as a gift. I'll give another one that, because of this dyslexia, my journey of interpersonal development was because of this. I remember when I first found out and I was looking ways to improve my study skills. I was looking for a book by Tony Buzan. I found a book by Tony Robbins. Pure luck, because I had no one around me who'd give me information about personal development. So that led me down another path. And I studied personal development because I went down the rabbit hole, of course. And then I studied on the side, assuming just because I'll be a better person, whatever. And it allowed me to set targets for myself, such as, becoming a millionaire by the time I was 30. I hit that 27. And so I did all these various achievements. But then my life, obviously, God has better plans. Always does. There's always good. There's always twisted turns in your journey. And I became, I think at 27 when I hit my peak and I became a millionaire. At the same time, I think within a few months after that, I ended up getting divorced from that husband, which is my daughter's, my first child's father, because of the physical abuse. Even though I was doing financially well, I was in a very, very physically abusive relationship. Wow. And I had to say no. I mean, I think I had the courage to pick up the phone and call the police because the last time he hit me, I had my daughter who was 8 weeks at the time in my hand and he was beating me up, but I couldn't even push him away. I couldn't even do that. So she was 8 weeks old and he had me pinned on top of the staircase. So if I let him go, my daughter could have slipped out my hand and gone. And I'm 5'6", he's like 6 foot something. He was a huge man.
Wow.
Anyway, I don't know where I got the courage from, because I wasn't thinking straight. As soon as he let me go, I just picked up the phone, called the police, and that was the end of the matter. I didn't say anything because the state I was in, the police just took him away. I didn't press charges, of course. I didn't carry on with it because of family pressure, but you know, the charges were later on dropped, but the marriage was over. Now I went, God had different plans for me. I always say this, oh, wonderful. I went from out of the frying pan into the fire. I divorced him. At that time, in that marriage, I was the main breadwinner. And I had in my mind, because of my culture, that because I was the main breadwinner, somehow that instigated him, that caused him to feel insecure. And somehow I was wrong. Do you see what I mean? It was that thinking in my mind that I should not, maybe I was too masculine, maybe I was too forceful, maybe I shouldn't be, you know, but he didn't want to work. And I was okay with working because he was a lawyer too, by the way. So he was a criminal solicitor and I am a banking finance person. So obviously I made 3 times his income. It was okay. It made sense to me for him to stay home while I go into work. Anyway, moving on to the next part of my life very quickly. So I went out from into the fire. Once I divorced him and whatever else, I ended up getting married, semi-arranged marriage to my now current ex-husband, my son's father. And he did the reverse. So he didn't want me to go to work and I was happy with that. But his condition was I could not go back to work. Does this make sense? The other one wanted me to work. This one was the other complete opposite. You can't go out and work. And when I got married to him, he was, and I went completely the opposite way. So my ex-husband, Myra's father, he went to LSE, one of the top universities in UK, incredibly smart, incredibly intelligent. So I thought, okay, he didn't work. Let's go for the other one. So my Ayal's father, he's an uneducated person. We're now married to him. He was working in Burger King, making about $1,100 a month or something ridiculous. I was okay with that, thinking that would work. Anyway, long story short, he mentioned his business took up, and this is where I wanted to bring in all the skills I've been learning about manifesting, about mindset, whatever. I worked on my ex-husband. So he went from he's one of my best case studies, by the way, best ones. He doesn't know it himself, but he went from making £1,100 a month working at Burger King to, within short span, I think 2 years time, making £30,000 to £40,000 a month, and driving a Range Rover. So this was the graph that he had. He still doesn't acknowledge it. And even to this day, he's now, he obviously drives expensive cars. He makes about 100K a month or something, but he hasn't understood what the mindset work that I did with him when we were early on in the marriage. Anyway, he became extremely abusive also, but he was actually worse. He was narcissistic, and he financially abused me along with a few other things as well, which we haven't got time to go into. Anyway, the time that I left him, so I want you to understand, this woman who was completely independent. I lost my mother at 21, by the way. So I did lose my mom when I finished my law degree. So I completed my degree. I completed my studies all by myself. I took out loans, whatever else, to complete my studies. So this woman who's self-educated, who became a millionaire at the age of 27, was really independent, had broken down so much. And I think this is important for your audience to understand. It doesn't matter who you are, how strong you are. When you break, people can find your weak points and break you completely. This man had completely broken my confidence. In my mid-30s, I was fat, I was apparently ugly and stupid and dumb, and I believed these things. I'm not saying these things to say what he said. These are things that I began to believe. And so this is where mindset's so important. And then, so that got to the point when I actually caught him cheating on me red-handed, and he had the audacity to tell me to my face that I don't want to leave you either. This is like I've married her, but I'm allowed to, and I'm going to keep her. And I'm like, dude, you can keep her. I'm leaving you. And this was a big shock to his system that I finally found my voice again and I was willing to leave him. But then that's when he pulled the financial card on me. So because at that time I was fully financially dependent on him. My lifestyle depended on him. And as you know, we mentioned before, education was a big thing for me. Both my kids were in private schooling. He refused to pay me a penny. Not a penny. I had no money at all. No money. This is not too long ago, by this is back in 2016, only about 6 years ago now. And he completely pulled the financial card, didn't give me a penny at all. And I had to work myself up. And also, by the way, we get government support here in the UK. We were able to. However, I'm seen as wealthy because of the properties.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the stinger. Here's the kicker. Because I was going through a divorce, I wasn't able to do anything with my properties. They were locked up.
Yeah.
So I had no money, nothing from no one. Go to the government, couldn't do me anything because according to the government, I'm wealthy. But I can't touch those properties because we're going through a divorce. It was horrible. And at one point in time, I had every 4 weeks, not every week, every 4 weeks, I would get child benefit. The government gives you money because you have children. And it was £137.14. And I remember that exact amount because that's all I had to feed my kids, to pay the electricity, the gas, and I still had mortgage to pay, by the way, everything. And that's how I survived. So I say that if I can overcome that, anybody can overcome from anything, and you just have to believe in yourself. So that's my short story in a nutshell.
Holy cow. That's like one of the biggest roller coaster rides I think I've ever been on, right? Millionaire by 27, abusive relationship, divorce, next abusive relationship, and not having any wealth and broken confidence. Like, holy cow. And to pull yourself out of that, Gull Khan, good heavens. You know, I had so many questions during all of that. When you were noticing your second husband, you said he was broke and working at Burger King, and so you helped him change his money mindset. Was that like, was he aware that you were doing that? And were you even aware of what you were doing? Or was it just like natural for you to help him make that change?
Exactly. Even I wasn't aware of the fact that I was working on his money mindset. At that time, the term money mindset didn't exist.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was talked about. It was just mindset. And I'm a very positive person about looking at things and how things and working out blocks and money blocks. And that's something I should have realized. Not only did I do it with him, but while I was still in marriage with him, I started looking at alternative healing therapies like immersion freedom technique and energy clearings, and Reiki is the first thing I looked at. That's very basic stuff now. So all of this stuff I was looking at, and I was always interested in healing people's money stories. I started with him, but then even though my pro bono work, I call it pro bono, but it's basically when you're practicing with your peers, I did a lot of sessions with people and I was very, very good at it. So when I came to make a decision about, okay, I have to make money, I have to go back to work, I had two options. I could go back to law, which is the only thing I knew about, but then my kids would not see their mother. Like, lawyers get paid a decent amount, I would say, but they buy you. Honestly, they own you. Corporate worlds own you, right? So my kids would not see their mother, and I that's what was my major point, that I couldn't have. They didn't see the father anyway, apart from once a week. I could not take the mother away. But also, I also felt that if I can help him, if I can help all these people, I can help other people and charge them for it. And this is where this business of working on people's money mindset worked. And we just took off exponentially because I'm very, very good at what I do. And I've been able to help so many people because I'm genuinely interested in helping people work out what it is that's blocking them financially, because I truly believe money is there in abundance for everyone. And also I do really believe that money should be your best friend. It should not be a tool. It should not be a foe. It should not be something you look down upon, and not something that you worship, not something that you run after. It's a friend. And that's how it should be treated.
That is so good. That is so good. Like, as you were going through this process of coming to understand your gifts and your talents and making this decision that whoa, I'm really good at helping people get past their money blocks. I like helping people. I want to do this for a living. Like, I'm imagining that you were still struggling financially, and yet presenting the world to you, presenting yourself to the world as a money expert. And the fascinating thing is, in order to make money, you had to be that money expert, but help other people with their blocks so that you could grow your financial income. And it almost feels like putting the cart before the horse. Like, how did you personally overcome that? Because I don't doubt that you are very gifted at this and that you could help people, but your life didn't have that proof and evidence, probably to most people, right? You had seen evidences of it here and there, but your life didn't prove that. And this is something that a lot of people run into. There's something in their life that feels like, I'm not a representation of what my product and service is. And that will hold them back, even if they have tremendous gift and talent. How did you overcome that?
Oh, that's a great question. So I have been very honest and very upfront from day one, from beginning. Okay, this is what's happened to me. And I was able to explain, because my childhood, because I've already done that once. So I've been through the roller coaster. So I grew up in let's go a bit further back. My father he's passed away now. May he rest in peace. He was a multi-millionaire. Who'd be a billionaire in today's standard? That's how much money he had. But he cheated on my mother. This is where it's really interesting. I recreated my mother's exact life and explained a bit. My father remarried a younger woman who was 17 years younger than my mom. Just remember the number. 17 years younger than my mother. And when my father remarried, he wanted to keep both my mother and his second wife. Now, as Muslims, they're allowed to do that. But the same Islam, which gives a man permission to have more than one wife, up to 4 wives, it also gives women the permission, saying, okay, if you don't accept his second wife, I don't get to say whether my husband has a second wife or not, but I get to say if I want to stay with him or not. So my mother said, you can have a second wife. I don't have to stay with you, which is a big thing. She had balls, for a woman back in the 80s. This is a big thing, right? Yeah. So this is the mid 80s we're talking about, because I was about 5. And so she picked me and my brother up and brought us back to the UK. And so we went from riches to rags. That's the first part of my life. Then I actually grew up in a council estate. And the reason why I was so good at studying, because I had no options but to be a good student, because my brother was completely, he became a delinquent. He could not, because I think he was about 7 when he became, and he couldn't adjust to being extra wealthy, to being literally we didn't have cutlery to eat food in. Okay, we had nothing. My father made sure he gave us nothing. Again, the financial card. Okay, so because of that, I grew up in council estate with really awful. I don't know what kind of place would be downtown for you guys. I don't know what sort of place, but it's basically really
the projects.
Yeah, the projects probably. Yeah. We were living in council estate. It was awful. It was awful state, but I didn't look upon it. I just didn't give myself the option to look around what was happening around me. All I did was focus on my studies and help my mother. And at a very young age, here's another thing. My father had completely killed my mother's confidence. Wow. She was a maths professor before she married him, which is, again, amazing thing for a woman to be educated in Pakistan in that day and age, okay, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, because she was born in the late 40s. For her to be an educated woman from there, she just lost all her confidence now. So she believed she was fat, ugly. Can you see the similarities there? Fat, ugly, and stupid. So she could not build the confidence again. So by the end, she didn't bother learning the language because she didn't feel that she could learn English, which is really silly. Anyone can learn the language. At the age of 7, 8, I became her translator, and I did everything for her from the age of 7. As far as I can remember, I was talking on her behalf, filling her forms, and doing whatever I can. Keep in mind, I'm dyslexic, so the spelling must have been atrocious anyway. But anyway, so that was the way it started off. Now, I always share this example. Okay, so look what happened to my mother. And then fast forward 30 years, look what happened to me. Exactly 30 years later, my age was when my mother left my father, she was in her late 30s. I was in my mid to late 30s when I left Irfan. She had 2 kids. I about then had 2 kids. Okay, her youngest one was 5. Me, my youngest one was 5. Ayan. Okay, the woman my father cheated on was 17 years younger than my mother. The girl that Irfan cheated on me was 17 years younger than me. Okay. And even my father's age was very similar to Irfan's age when this happened. It was just uncanny, the similarity. Wow. So I explained to people, I manifested my mother's exact life, and I'm working through it. So that was one example that I shared, and that this is how I'm overcoming it. Secondly, I had the example of my ex that I gave. Look, this is what's happened to him. This is how these are my past achievements. I've helped him. Not only have I gone up and down and become a millionaire, and obviously I've lost it all again, but I'm building myself up. But I have helped him. Look where he went. And that was honest truth. And then I had many testimonials from people who worked with me without paying me. So I had free testimonials, and people got phenomenal results with me. And I remember this one study group that I run. I was doing one-to-one of this work at the time, which I gave up quite long ago, but I was doing one-to-one at the time. Because when you first do coaching, you always start with one-to-one. And I ran this 8-week study with about 40 women. It was for free. I did it for free on purpose. It started with 60, but it dropped down to about 42 because I said, the only condition I'm going to put in here, if you don't do the work, if you don't turn up, you're out of the group. Okay. And we ran this group, and it's called Manifest or something. I can't remember that. It was one of the earliest groups I did. It was so phenomenal. In those 8 weeks, those 42 women manifested over $1.8 million. And we had phenomenal stories coming out about relationships, about this. And because I had such phenomenal stories and the honest truth about myself, where I am, because I never said, oh, I'm a millionaire now and I'm doing this. I always shared, this is where I am, this is where I'm working towards. But I know I can help you, because here's my the shopping list of testimonials. That is what helped me to believe in myself and people around me. And then when I started doing the work, because my testimonials are so phenomenal, they just go, they literally are, they blow your mind. We've just been able to build upon that more, one after the other, and that's how I overcame. But I think my advice to anyone would be, what you're talking about is called the imposter syndrome. And like, well, I haven't done it yet. How can I help others? A lot of the times we're able to help other people do what we need to do ourselves, because we are healing in that part of ourselves too. In the process of, so they were saying, if you want to learn something, teach. It's sometimes better to help others to do what you need to do. And that includes building a business, building a brand, building whatever. And as long as you're honest to people, people understand that. I think being honest and authentic is very, very important. And this is why even my on my podcast, Money Mindset Go, the Monday episode is always reserved for me to talk about something that I want to talk about. And it's become my personal blog. I purposely share all the times when I've fallen short of my expectations of myself, where I feel like, oh, I know this, but I had to learn this because of this experience. Or I was speaking to this cousin of mine and she told me that I have to do this, and I realized, oh my God, I have to do this. When you share that part of yourself, that you are still work in progress. Yes, I've achieved a lot of things now and I'm doing phenomenally well, but I'm still work in progress. I am not a billionaire yet, and I will be one day for sure, but I'm not there yet. And I've worked with 7-figure, 8-figure people now who are financially ahead of me. That's great, because I'm able to help anybody. But I'm sharing my journey, and very honestly too. And I think that's what needs to come across, that when people hear my podcast, or they hear me, they hear the honest truth. And that's what attracts people. And that's what people believe. It does. Nobody wants to believe that I know I have no faults, and now I've figured out the game and I'm a billionaire and going on to become a trillionaire tomorrow. That's not going to work. I will one day, but until then, we can have many other conversations.
When you show up and you have nothing to hide, like, the fear is not there. You've been totally transparent and honest. And like you said, people's fear is that people won't respect you. They won't value you. They won't trust you. But when you are really open and honest with somebody and boldly just own it, like you said, that's very attractive. And people are like, okay, I like this. This person is very transparent. And the other thing that you were sharing that I think people need to hear is you acknowledged and owned your gifts, and you doubled down on that. And you said, look, right, I don't have huge financial situation right now, but guess what? I'm exceptional at this thing, and I can help you if you want my help. And when you can just really own your gifts, that as well is very attractive, very magnetic. And it gives you a chance to just, again, you have nothing to hide. You have nothing to hide. And in the beginning, it's a bit of a leap of faith to really double down and own your gifts like that. It's like, you look around, you see the evidences of your life, you see the interactions that you've had, and you start to see multiple evidences. Oh, I helped my ex-husband with it. I helped myself in that situation. And you start to see those evidences. And it can be a leap of faith to really start to claim that. But once you do, doors start to open, things start to happen. You start to see more and more evidence as you really own it. Like you said, I know that you've talked to so many people who have blocks and might even not just not be attracting money, but may even feel like they somehow seem to be repelling it. What are some of the common blocks that you see amongst people when it comes to attracting wealth?
Oh, that's a great question. So I don't think people have difficulty attracting wealth. I think people have difficulty keeping wealth. And this is the major factor. People are not poor because they can't make money. Most people are able to make money. They're poor because they can't keep money. And the reason why they can't keep money is their relationship with money. And let me explain. So if you and I, Katie, we go to, say, for example, we go to a restaurant and we see a really gorgeous dude come up. This really handsome guy's come through, right? He's tall, dark, and handsome. He's got Turkish background. I like Turkish men. They're very, very good looking. And he comes up and we exchange looks like, you know what? He must be arrogant. He must be so. We pass all these judgments, all these negative ideas about him. Now we could be looking at him and smiling, yet under our breath, we're thinking all these negative thoughts. We're sending all these negative vibes to this poor person who's not said a word to us, who could be the greatest person in the world, but we just assume because he looks the way he does, he must be awful, right? Now, someone like that comes in, you and I give such negative vibes to him. Do you think there's a possibility he will come and talk to us?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't know why, but just something feels off over there.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if that's the case with an individual, why is money any different? See, money is energy, and so is this individual we just referred to. We can see him physically, but the fact that he's energy, quantum physics teaches us this, right? Everything's energy. Our sound of our voice, our thoughts, our ideas, us as human beings, everything about is energy, and the energy cannot be destroyed. It cannot be made. It just can be transferred into something else, right? So if money is energy and your thoughts and ideas are constantly communicating your feelings about money to it all the time, by the way, subconsciously or consciously, why the hell would money want to stay with your bank account or wallet? It would think, no, I don't know why I want to leave, but I'm out the door. And this is what happens, especially when I started working with, I found the issue were very similar. It doesn't matter if they're 6-figure earner, 7-figure earner, 8-figure or 9-figure earner. Making money wasn't a problem. Keeping it, especially in investment, because a lot of the times the excuse were, well, I know how to make money, but investments wise, I don't know what happens to it. I invest and investments go down, or I do this and some other expenses come up. And I always unpack things. Okay, so how do you really feel about money? And the funny thing is, Katie, because a lot of these people are used to reading books like Think and Grow Rich and, You Were Born Rich from Bob Proctor, may he rest in peace, or even maybe Tony Robbins' book or anything like that. They're used to reading these really positive books. So they'll come back and say, well, money means freedom to me. And I know money is great. And I'm a billionaire in the making. And I think this could happen. And I'm like, those are great things they're saying to me. But what are you actually feeling about money? Don't tell me what you're saying. Tell me how you're feeling. Well, I must feel good about it. Well, let you know. Let's unpack this. Okay. And then we go into their earliest money paradigm in terms of how their parents feel about money. How do their siblings feel about money? What kind of environment was it when they were growing up? How was that? In terms of, what kind of thoughts and ideas were given to them in their schooling. So keep in mind, I'll give another example. And this blows me out every single time. So every time you watch a Netflix, or even before that, our time when you had school, in school programs and stuff like that, any TV show or any cartoon, anything you ever watch, who's the bad guy? Who's always the
rich guy? It's the rich guy.
The rich guy is always the bad guy. The rich guy is always arrogant. The rich guy is always conceited. The rich guy is always a mean father. Every bad thing, the villain is always the rich guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Even our books.
He owns the world.
Yeah, and he's mean and he's conceited.
Yes.
And this person who's middle class, professional, either doctor, lawyer, or an agent or something, has to come and save us from this evil rich dude. Right? Can you see the brainwashing that's done even through the media and the books? By the way, books aren't any better. If you look at any books, on one of the kids' books, which is quite famous by Roald Dahl, Matilda. Right? In Matilda itself, who was the villain in that? Her father. The rich, sleazy sales car person. Yeah. But who was the hero? Who was the protagonist? It was Matilda and her school teacher, who was very, very poor. Can you see the programming that's going on here at the moment? Right. Yeah. So we grow up with this programming that it's awful to be rich. If you are a good person, you can't be rich. And guess what? We all want to be good. We all want to be liked. We all want people to love us. So if I become rich, if God forbid, if I have money, you're going to begin hating me because I'm going to become this awful, conceited, arrogant person. I'm going to become evil. Money is going to make you evil. I don't want to be evil. Can you see where I'm going with this?
Oh, my word.
Right?
And if you I've lived it. I have lived it. Keep going.
Yeah. Can you see what's going on with this? If you are in that kind of mindset, would you hold on to the money? Doesn't matter if you make 5, 6, 7, or 8 figures. Would you hold on to the money in that regard? You will find ways.
Not even conscious. Like it wouldn't even be conscious, but it would just, something about it feels bad.
Yeah. And you will find ways to get rid of it. Now, I'm not saying logical. These will be illogical. Yeah. So you put into bad investments, bad partnerships. You'll attract this, by the way, because of law of attraction. Bad partnerships, bad friendships, bad, it could be investments, or it could be like, burnout. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I'm ill. So I've heard this a lot. Burnout is something that I've seen quite often. People make themselves physically sick, that they can no longer work. And then they have to say, no, it's that money that's eating my health. I can't be working anymore because money's making me sick. Money doesn't make you sick, dude. Money is only there to support you. It has no opinion. Money is not good. Money is not bad. Money is completely neutral. And you can attract as much of it as you want, but it does have energy. If you are negative towards it, it's going to be pulled away from you. It's going to be pushed away from you. And then you're going to wonder why. All our frustrations, everything's blamed on poor money. I always say, I became an advocate, and now I'm an advocate for money. I really am. Because money gets the blame. Divorce, the highest divorce rate is because of money. What's the money to blame? You two couldn't communicate. You're blaming money for that? Come on, dude, right? It makes no sense to me, but everything that goes wrong with your relationship, it's money's fault. I was in that situation because of money. I couldn't, my father was able to abuse me because of money, or someone manipulated me because of money. I could very easily have blamed my ex. Like, he was able to abuse me and torture me like that because of money. Money had nothing to do with it. It was my choice to stay in that marriage and remain loyal to him because of my stupid culture, or whatever my cultural programming about this is my second marriage and the kids need a father. I swear it was my programming, my internal beliefs about what it meant to be a good woman to stay with him. Nothing to do with money, but it was easy for me to, even as I used to, if I could make money, I would leave him. No, I wouldn't. I know for a fact, even if I didn't make money, I would not leave him. I would not have left him until I saw him. Actually, this is a funny story. I actually caught him, his text and cheating on him back in March of 2016. And he moved out. We separated. In that time, now look at my programming. I blamed myself, thinking I was doing something wrong, and I had pushed him away. And we had to work on our marriage. Not him. We had to work on our marriage, and it wasn't his fault. And I was working, and I can't remember, it was June. Now it's even more embarrassing, because I'm going to share it with you, right? In June 2016, I was begging him to come back home. Look, Irfan, just come back home. We need to make this marriage work. Well, let's make it work. He goes, no, I haven't got time at the moment. I need to work on my business at the moment. I really need to focus on business at the moment. Because, by the way, the woman he was cheating on me with was actually his business partner's girlfriend. So that's why he had to leave. It was a complete mess. So he was like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And I was begging him from June onwards. I remember this begging of me, of asking him to come back home, carried on until August. On the 30th of August, I remember the exact date. On 30th of August, I'd taken my kids to a theme park, and I'd come back home, and I was really happy, in a really happy state. So I prayed to God. I'm like, God, tell me what I'm supposed to do with this marriage. Give me a sign, give me an indication. I'm really, really confused. And the signs were all in front of me. I just wasn't willing to listen.
Give me a sign.
Yeah, and they're all in front of me. So God knows me, right? So God's like, okay, you're not going to learn. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so literally picked me up, and I went to sleep that night. And in the morning, I got up, and I'm quite intuitive, and I heard in my head very, very clearly, go to where he lives. And somehow he'd given me his address because I think we needed to get some paperwork for a yarn school or something. I can't remember what it was. There's something reason why he gave me his address. But he lived away from home most of the time during our marriage, because he worked away from home. I never visited his home, by the way. So it wasn't a big thing for him to give me his address. I'm not going to turn up anyway. I never do. I was told, go to where he is. And I remember waking up thinking, arguing with my intuition, like, it's 9 o'clock. You're telling me to get there for 10:30. It's going to take me an hour and 50 minutes to get there. And I heard very strong in my head, go now. I remember jumping out of bed, putting the duvet off, putting on yesterday's clothes, getting milkshakes and bunging them in my kids' hand. I remember they were 5 and
because you had to take your kids.
Yeah, who else would I leave them with?
Yeah.
Give them milkshakes in their hands, a 5 and 9-year-old, keep that in mind, bung them in the car, and off I was on the road. Lucky for me, it was a bank holiday, so it was empty roads. Otherwise, it would take me longer. It took me an hour and 50 minutes to get there rather than the hour and a half normal. Banging on the door, when I got there, he wouldn't open the door. And that's when the movie, the whole Bollywood movie or Hollywood movie star came. I started breaking the door down. So we have, in UK, we have doors with panels, like glass panels. Yeah. I broke one of those panels. Break it down. So he realized she's not leaving without me opening the door. So he came to open the door. When he came, he opened the door, pushed him aside, ran upstairs, and I caught her half naked running into the bathroom. So that's basically how I caught him. So wow. God had to show me black and white, this is what's going on, go, let him go. And that's what he said to me. Wow. He said to me, I don't want to leave you either. I've done nikah, which is Islamic marriage. I've done nikah with her and I want to keep you both. I'm like, dude, you can keep her, but I'm leaving you. And that's when I left, and it was awful. But even then, God had to show me exactly what was going on before I could leave him. So how can I blame money? How could I ever possibly blame money for it? It was my programming. It was my lack of self-belief. It was my belief that, in my culture, people will say, oh, she got married, she got divorced twice, and, she must be of low character, whatever, all the stupidity that came to mind. Now, I don't care. I'm like, dude, think whatever you like. I'm happy with myself. You can think whatever you like, right? But it was my thing. Now, people have these things happen in their life, right? Marriages breaking, abusive partners, whatever. But the blame is always given on money. And I was like, no, money isn't to blame. You have something else going on. Let's unpack that. Let's work that out. Let's address the deeper core wound rather than blame the normal culprit, which is always money.
Oh my goodness. How does somebody, so you just shared with us so many things that I know so many people are listening to, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. And I remember that. And I've experienced this. And I tell myself that. They're starting to have awareness of the ways in which they have not been making money their best friend. If somebody's wanting to start taking some steps towards making money their best friend, what are some things that they could do right now to make that step and that shift from realizing I've been pushing it away? How can they begin to make it their friend?
Oh, perfect. I mean, I've got a strategy that I think everyone should adapt. And especially if they're entrepreneurs, they'll be familiar with kind of similar things to this anyway. So what I call is creating your money avatar. So I want you to stop thinking of money as a tool. I want you to stop thinking money as something that you use, something that you need, something that you run after. Money should be a friend, like it is. So if your best friend is energy, if you think about the core level is energy, then if you are familiar with meditating and speaking to your higher self, and so what a lot of entrepreneurs are nowadays, this is where if you are used to speaking to higher self, then that's energy. Speaking to divine source energy, that's energy, right? So if everything is energy, then you can convert this energy of money into your best friend. And then the strategy for that is, I remember when I was first starting this, as much as I love money, I cannot see money in paper format. I just cannot. I cannot connect with paper money or with gold coins because I'm not into gold or jewels and anything. So I thought, okay, how can I connect money? I do like cars, but I can't see money as car either. So I came up with the idea that, okay, in order for me to create my best friend, why not I make money into my best friend? And the way to do it is you first of all, become very clear as to who would be your best friend. So another way we create our ideal client avatar, it's very similar, but this time it's for money. So in terms of, but before we label it money, we work out, okay, so if I would choose who would be my own best friend, what would he look like? What would she look like? So the age, the ethnicity, the hair color, the eye color, the skin tone, the background, the educational background, the kind of personality they will have. So for example, if I give you mine is Michelle. And by the way, Michelle has curly hair like you, by the way. She's always got that. And she's got blonde curly hair. She wears a toga half the time. And she's like a Greek goddess, but very sexy, very sassy, very aware of the world, but comes out some goofy and bit silly like me, right? Because that's how kind of person I would be friends with, someone who wants to be fun, really, really fun, but incredibly intelligent, gives me really sensible advice and is very honest, very downwards, that kind of person that I would want to go and hang out with. And she'll be very direct with me, go, I've got time, no, I haven't got time, I'm doing this, but I'll be back with you and I'll see you back, on Tuesday or something. Very honest, very direct kind of person. So be very clear as to the kind of person that would be your best friend. And once you have them, then give them a name. Like I've given my friend my money avatar is Michelle. And I can give you a detailed explanation of what she's like, what she's happening. And, if I don't speak to her, when I speak to her, I mean, meditating and talking to her with her higher self. If I don't do that with her regularly, I get the moods, I get the annoyance. I'm like, woman, why haven't you spoken to me? I would literally get her in my dreams coming up like, oh, why you forgot me? I'm like, oh, shoot, I haven't spoken to you for a while. Let me just do some meditation and I'll speak to you. Get very clear. Now, what would this will do? When you make this character label and give them a name as well, and then start treating them as your best friend, and the way to speak to them is you lower your brain waves, and that's easily done by using any form of breath work. You use breath work, and I actually teach this I should teach how to create your money avatar in my workshop as well. But the very easy way is to lower your brain waves by using some kind of breath work, and there's plenty out there. And once your brainwaves have lowered and you're in this meditative state with ideally in alpha brainwaves, then you just imagine this person in front of you and just have this conversation. And when you're having this conversation, what will happen over time is you will no longer start seeing them in these frustration, you no longer be frustrated with them. You no longer be angry with them.
Yeah.
When you first speak to them, you may find they're a bit standoffish and you're like, oh, I've been treating you badly all my life, because your higher self will show that to you. Your subconscious mind is really powerful. It will show you how you've been behaving with this person. Yeah. And then as you build up your relationship, what you find is, normal day to day, you get these thoughts in your mind like, oh, money's bad or whatever. You'll catch yourself and say, no, actually, like if someone says something about money, I'm like, in my mind, I'm saying, Michelle's not like that. And then I would actually say it out loud, no, money's not to blame. And I'll give an explanation. But the first point is your own self. So when you start saying money never turns up on time, and I'm like, Michelle's always there before even I need it. So she may not be here right now because there's an ebb and flow of money. Keep that in mind. There's an ebb and flow of money. Michelle's not here at the moment, but she's my best friend. So she'll turn up before I even know I need her. So she'll be there. So I will stop blaming her. Guess what that does for the law of attraction purposes? Elevates your energy, it elevates your frequency, and you attract more onto it. And what money will start doing, it will start picking up on your positive emotions towards him or her, whatever avatar you have. For me, it's her. Sure. It will start coming to you more frequently and will stay with you longer. Does it make sense? It's a very, very powerful thing. It will change you from inside out.
Yeah, like as you personify money like that, I can already start to see shifts and changes. And like you said, I can even expose different ways in which I maybe have been opposed to it or repelling it, or even just like not connecting to it. That was the other thing I started to see as you were talking about all of this. As you personify, and as I was walking through that personifying, I could start to feel a new sort of a connection to money, because it was, like you said, it had that energy of being a friend, being an advocate, somebody you look forward to hanging out with, somebody who might not be here in the moment, but she's always there for me. So I know she'll be there when I need her. so fantastic. Love the way that you walked us through that.
I love it. And I absolutely think that every single person should actually create a money avatar and then spend the time. You don't need to spend hours and hours, Katie, talking to these people, to your money avatar. But you know, when you have a best friend, initially when you first meet someone, you may hit it off with someone really, really quickly, but you have to give time to that relationship to build up, to become that best friend. Keep that in mind, okay?
Also
it's
true.
It's years of abuse towards money. So it's not going to be rectified in a week or a day. It will need time to repair that bond. And what you find is once you've sort of built that time up, so if you speak to money, for example, I think everyone should be meditating every single day, at least 10, 15 minutes. In that 10, 15 minutes of meditation, spend 5 minutes talking to money. And what you find is as you speak to her 5 minutes every single day, it becomes a habit. And then what you find is you don't need to speak to her 5 minutes, because if the time when I'm meditating on a different thing or I'm trying to get advice on something else, a lot of the time actually money gives me advice. I ask money for advice. What do you think I should do? And I'll hear something, I'll get my intuition will go, okay, do this or do that. At the moment, it's been nagging me about one thing, which I'm like trying to avoid for the longest time, but it's been coming back to me, so I have no choice not to do it now. But it will advise you. But otherwise, sometimes, when you haven't seen your best friend for even a week, you just send them a text like, dude, how are you? I was missing you. Just want to see you. That's a psychic text where you just connect to your money avatar for a minute or two and say, look, just making sure you're okay, and hope all's well with you. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll see you soon. It sounds silly if you in the day-to-day think of the way we in a secular Newtonian world. But in the quantum field, it makes sense because everything exists in the quantum field in the form of energy. So it makes sense. And if you live, I always think if people live so focused on this Newtonian physical world, they miss out so much from the quantum realm, which is a gift to us. And for those people who are going to progress in a healthy way to the next level of billionaires, trillionaires, whatever kind of, and I don't say just money for the sake of it, because I think when you get to the financial level, you have to provide some kind of service. For example, Apple changed the way we live our lives with this iPhone and our Apple books, right? Look at Elon Musk. He's the richest man on the planet now, but look at what he's doing. He's made Tesla, by the way, I started going about Tesla way before it became popular. but I saw the potential in his Tesla. I wish I bought the shares, by the way, and then I didn't buy the shares. But anyway, I was in love with Tesla because I love cars. And now this SpaceX program, he's a visionary, he's doing things, but he's doing things for the benefits. That's what allows people to make that much money. As Zig Ziglar said, give everybody what they want, you would get everything that you want. So for these people who are these givers, these visionary people, these especially the new age entrepreneurs who are coming in, who want to give back, in order for them to get to the billionaire, trillionaire, whatever level, they have to provide a service which can help masses of people. And in order for you to do that, you have to rise out of this Newtonian world and literally go into the quantum field and start sharing or getting your gifts and advice and inspiration from there. Because in all honesty, that's what always happens. Pick up any big, big achievement from any bigger entrepreneur, and you realize somewhere along the lines, they have tapped into their subconscious, into their intuition, and that's where the advice comes. And that's where the golden nuggets are. Our Newtonian mind is so small.
Gull, this is so exciting. And I love how everything that you're teaching right now, it's so relatable in a sense that like, oh, make money my best friend. I have friends. I know how to be a good friend. And we can then start to listen to our own intuition that guides us in that process. And also, as you were sharing all of this, I was imagining somebody who's maybe like some sort of a financial expert who's like, this woman's crazy. There's no energy to money. Like it's spreadsheets, it's profit and loss. It's like, we got to be realistic here. And my guess would be, you might even, there might be some balance, or maybe there's not. Like, what is your opinion to somebody who's way more structured and rigid when it comes to not just making money, but keeping money? Are there pieces of that you do utilize and keep, or are you like 100%, we're in the energy and flow of money, and she's not here today, but she'll be there tomorrow? Like, how do you balance those things? And are you fully in one place or the other?
That's a great question. And I'm glad to say I do utilize both. And I talk about that in my book, Laws of Money, because I think there are man-made laws and there are universal laws. And yes, with universal laws, you can get far. You can get a lot further.
Yeah.
Man-made laws, not so much if by themselves, because you need to line somehow, either consciously or subconsciously, you have to line up with universal laws. Otherwise, it's very difficult to, no matter what strategy you have, for you to make or keep money. Make is not so difficult with a universal law, with the man-made laws, but keeping money is difficult, okay? Because that has to have an element of universal laws. But the best way is when you marry them up. You take you take the universal laws and you marry them up with the actual strategies and methodologies of the man-made laws. And this comes into tax laws, this comes into investment strategies, a diversified portfolio. I talk about it all the time. That you should never, I went to teach my son's school where they did the entrepreneurship section in the school. And I was the last guest speaker there, and I talked about money mindset, of course. And I was teaching them strategies like from early on, like, okay, save, and you need to save a certain portion, and then you have to diversify your portfolio, put it into different, sections, and there's property and whatever else. And I talk about that all the time, that I do believe in it. I'm into crypto, I'm into property, I'm into stocks and shares, and I'm into all sorts of different things. And I've got obviously my online business as well. Plus I'm looking at other things. I'm always diversifying. I'm always looking at different places. So those are great places to be, and it's great to diversify your portfolio and to obviously get advice and from people who have the know-how. So some this financial analyst, I'll say, dude, I love a graph. I'm a maths person, by the way. I got AA lower maths, so I'm a mathematician at heart. You come and show me graphs and numbers, I love that. I'm all go for that. Okay, I don't have the patience to make it, but I love seeing it, right? But I will say that's great, but because I've had this conversation with people. And I know this for a fact because of my own clients, the best accountants in the world are geniuses when it comes to other people's money. Have a look at their own personal life. It's messed up completely, right? Why is that? Because when it comes to other people's money, they're able to use logic and strategy, and they're not emotionally involved. So they're geniuses. But when it comes to their own money, emotions come to place, and we lead by emotions, not logic. And therefore they screw up and they mess up, and they're like, I don't know why I can help others, but I can't help myself. I know why, and I can explain to them why, and I do explain to them why. But but it's not all logic. You need the logic and strategy, but that comes in when you fixed your emotions and your, as I call them, money blocks. And in long term, if for someone to build long-term generational wealth, especially if you come from not so, such a wealthy background, you need to fix certain emotional or remove certain blocks. Otherwise, what you'll find is, doesn't matter how hard you try to keep the money, you'll find a way to lose it. Logically, by the way, a wrong investment, some kind of fraud, some kind of tax, something will come up. Something will come up for sure, guaranteed. And you will lose it. And you're like, why? I didn't do anything wrong. This is where you're wrong, because you're emotionally not in the right place to have or keep the money. Making money is not a problem. I say this, making money is not a problem. Most people can make 7 figures on an annual basis now, but how many of those have gone on to become millionaires or have actually managed to keep it and made it put into passive income and made, and are able to call themselves millionaires? Not many.
Yeah. To be really exceptionally successful at any one thing, you usually have to understand both the art and the science of whatever it is that you're doing. And what you're describing, this being intuitive and connecting with the energy of money and having the faith that she'll be there when you need her. That's kind of the art. And, the spreadsheets, the CPAs, the crypto accounts, that's the science. And so to be able to weave these together, that's how you can get exceptionally high levels of success. And that's true here inside of money. That's true in anything, right? You have to understand the energy of what you're doing. And you also have to understand the man-made laws of what it is that you're doing. You have to understand how to bring them together in a way that it gets you ahead. It gets you to the level that you want to go to. This is such a fascinating conversation. I've absolutely loved this. I have loved this. I mean, hey, I'm a mindset girl and I do a lot of work on myself personally and have been able to eliminate blocks and all kinds of things. But I have learned so much today, and it's been really fascinating to hear. First of all, just love how you own your gifts. You really owned your gifts, even from a place that was probably extremely devastating. Owned your gifts, crawled out of that hole, and now you are a beautiful, bright, shining light in this world. You're helping people. You are helping people make money their best friend. And not only is it blessing their life, it's blessing your life as well. And so wonderful. Thank you so much, Gull. It's just been a fascinating journey for me, and I know my audience has been loving this as well. So thank you,
Katie. Thank you, Katie. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for all those kind words. And I had so much fun talking about this. I could talk all day long. This is
We're not done. We're not done. I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
What's something that you do consistently every day?
Speak to a money avatar.
Love it. Love it. And you just taught that to us. Is there a book that you frequently revisit or that you gift frequently?
The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Murphy.
That one's from the 70s? I'm trying to think if I read that one.
I think so. But all his books by Dr. Joseph Murphy, any book of his is amazing. Yes. He's such an amazing. I feel that he's my mentor from the different realm, from different dimension, because I really connect to. So I'm a practicing Muslim, and I own that too. That I'm a Muslim. And he's Christian, so he talks it through the Bible, biblical references. But I connect to everything, because everything he says, I can refer back to in my book, my holy book, Quran Majid. So awesome. They're so similar that I feel that he's my mentor from the other realm. I love him. So any book from his is amazing.
Love it. Love it. I'm totally forgetting my next question for you. Oh, you told us that beautiful story from your mother early on, how she taught you can do it. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like there are people along our life who give us really, really good advice. Is there other good advice that you've received that's really helped you in your life?
I think this would be from two of them. So quite early on, I picked up something from Zig Ziglar. Help as many people get whatever they want, and then you can't help but get what you want. So this is one of the early classes I got from him. And the second one was actually probably would come back from my mother again, which was that whatever you feel and believe about yourself is what people will feel and believe about you. So if you feel you're ugly, people will reflect that. If you think you're beautiful, people reflect that. And I remember there's a movie that came out quite recently. I loved it. The beautiful something. I don't know. There's a girl who has a knock.
Yeah, Amy Schumer. I feel beautiful. I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's it. Because it was the same size, same looks, same body features. She just felt beautiful and she looked beautiful and she looked different, right? And then before, she felt ugly, or she wasn't ugly then too, but she felt ugly, so she dressed that way. So she didn't look as attractive. So this idea of how you perceive yourself is more important than how others perceive you, or what actually the true reality is. And this actually was, I think my mother did this more for my studies, because I believed I was the most intelligent student in the class. Doesn't matter, I couldn't read. I believed I was the most clever one. I don't know, my grades didn't reflect. I don't know why. There's something wrong with the test. I was clever. I believed that. And it got to the point when I did my A-levels, I was the smartest. And when I was in my uni, I was one of the smartest. I wouldn't say the smartest, but I was one of the smartest always in the room. And I made myself believe that. So.
Oh my word. You're a woman who has a lot of experience, and you're a money mindset expert. You're also a barrister and a solicitor and so many different things. You're also a business owner, right? Yeah. And so it's one thing to be this money mindset expert. It's a whole nother thing to be a business owner. And so when you think about your business and growing your business and helping it find more customers and really thrive and create the impact you feel called to create, what's something that's working right now inside of your business?
I think my podcast. I think that's the one thing that I've really connected with. So I think our podcast has grown phenomenally. It took up more than I thought it would. And we're coming up to 400,000 downloads, and we're only like a year and a half old. So it's the podcasting. I think communicating authentically and honestly with your audience, and people will reward you with that, dividend. And we now went to interview you because, we've even though I'm relatively unknown in the area, I'm still, people are still getting to know me. But because of this podcast, this medium, I'm able to connect to these amazing entrepreneurs and share their message along with mine.
Oh my goodness. Gull Khan, this has been absolutely fantastic. For everybody who's listening and they're like, okay, she just opened a door and I need to walk through and I need her help. How can people get in contact with you?
I think the best thing is if they want to listen to more of what I have to say, especially listen to my vlog or blog or whatever it is that happens on Monday, come on and listen to our podcast, which is Money Mindset with Gull Khan. We're on iTunes and everywhere else you could possibly imagine. And the other thing is we have a free gift for your audience as well, Katie. So we have this training called 3 Steps to Becoming a Money Magnet. So we've got the link for you, which is Money Mindset. I can't remember the link on that myself, but I think it's Money Mindset makeoverworkshop.com / free gift. Yeah, that's it. And so you've got the link. So if
free gift -2.
Yeah, free. So yes, it's Money Mindset makeoverworkshop.com / free -gift -2. That's
and we'll have the link for you in the show notes. Yeah,
go check it out. That's a free gift. And we had a chance to speak of this. Most of the work I do is with energy, because I'm actually very powerful energy healer. So I'm able to manipulate energy and remove energy blocks. That's why my clients get the results they do. So we are giving 2 free energy tool gifts in that training as well, because I thought the training wasn't enough. So you'll get one, which is my energy clearing, which is more unique to me, which, by the way, if people resonate with my energy, I'm the most powerful energy healer for them. If they don't, I'm like, no, somebody else. I always say, if I resonate with you, I'm your girl. If not, that's okay. We're still friends. But that's a very, very powerful thing for them, the energy clearing. And the second one is, which I think everyone needs to do, which is cutting cords with the old version of themselves. In order for you to become, if you're currently a 6-figure earner, in order for you to become a 7-figure earner, you have to cut cords with the 6-figure earner self of yours. If you're a 7-figure earner and you want to become an 8-figure earner or a 9-figure earner, you have to cut cords with the 7-figure version of yourself, and vice versa. So every time you up level, you have to cut cords with the old version and become and embody this new version of yourself. And the problem is, when people don't cut cords with themselves, and these are etheric cords, by the way, I'm referring to, then the old self, their old version, keeps pulling them back to the old self, and people get stuck and they don't understand why. They think, I'm doing all the strategies, I'm doing everything correctly, why can't I progress? It's your own self holding you back.
And do you do that in like energy healing sessions, help them cut cords?
Yeah,
that sounds like something that you actually are doing that with somebody. It's not a DIY thing.
No, it's so the tool I've given you is
Yeah.
that. So you go through meditation, and then you go through that yourself, and I'll guide you through of how to imagine. Okay, first there's a process. There's a process for it. So I guide you through that. It's a half an hour session, and it's called advanced code. There's a short version which I introduce in the workshop, but in this is for my high-end mastermind. We've taken one of those out, and it's called advanced cord cutting. So basically, it's a half an hour. It takes about 25 minutes to half an hour, where I take you through and I guide you through a process where you literally cut cords with an old version of yourself. And once you've done it once, you'll understand how powerful it is. It's simple. All my tools are very, very simple, but they're very, very powerful, because now we're working at the quantum level, working with your energy, not with the physical body, because the physical body, it has a lot of limitations.
Yeah. Oh my word. That was so good. So good. For everybody listening, go get her free gift. It will change your life. She knows what she's talking about. You have a chance to continue to level up, to become a money magnet, make money your best friend. Gull Khan, thank you so much. And for everybody who's been listening, this is what's working now.